and today we got to play Terraforming Mars, the dice game. So it got to our door yesterday.
It didn't take us any time at all to get it to the table.
No, it did not, which is funny because it came while we were playing actual Terraforming Mars. And I'm like, we could have done that because we were really short on time. But before we get into it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell because board games are amazing, and that's what we do here at Legends of Nirvana. Now, a little nerd moment. I got to see Wicked last night again. So, super excited about that. But anyway, so Randy, tell us a little bit more about Terraforming Mars, the dice game.
This obviously is a 2023 release. It has a Board Game Geek rating currently of 7.4 and a Board Game Geek rank of 4366. It plays 1 to 4 players. Average length, it says, of 45 minutes. I can see once you get to understanding how to play the game, how that could happen. Early play is probably going to take a little longer. It doesn't have a recommendation for age on it, which I thought was interesting. There's none on the box, and there was none on Board Game Geek.
Sissy could play this.
You think so? I think it's a little advanced for her. I would have rated it 12 to somewhere in there.
No, the cards are very clear. She has a little more capability than a lot of others. I would probably put it at 10 to 12 range as well. But it's really just, you're matching the dice.
Yeah, but there's comboing and trying to know how the
I didn't say they'd be good at the game. I said they could play the game.
So, design is by Jacob Frixelius, same person who designed Terraforming Mars. Art is by, presumably, his brother or some family member, Isaac Frixelius. Published by Frix Games or Stronghold Games. It is a medium-weight dice economic tile placement game. And it's currently not for sale at any of the retail outlets, but on Board Game Geek, people were trying to sell it for $55. When you did the Kickstarter, it was $35 for just the base game. Now, we added on the sleeves. These were $12 for enough sleeves for this, and then the mat was another $25. So, you know, it depends on if you just want the base. It was $35. Somebody's selling it for $55.
Well, that's shipping. Half of that's shipping. So,
well, but they're paying shipping on that too. I mean, it's, it's $20 markup. You're almost paying twice the price of what the game is.
Well, a third, but yeah, so it's not great. It's not great. All right, so that's what you get for waiting, I guess.
Well, I mean, you could wait till retail and probably get it for cheaper than.
Yeah.
Now, I will say there is one Kickstarter special, which is there's like a little packet of additional cards for the different corporations and also for the different abilities of the planets. But it's just a little promo pack. That's the only difference.
Okay. All right. So now let's talk about quality of components. So the dice are all custom dice. You know, I've not seen these symbols before. I mean, I've seen the symbols before, obviously, because we pay Terraforming Mars, but, you know, the fact that they're all on dice. You do have, you know, your generic tiles that are very common. They're a little bit smaller than your standard game. And then you have, again, these are very familiar since Terraforming Mars, little cubes for markers. The playmat's really nice, but again, that was an add-on. How's the card quality?
So the card quality is actually really nice. It's got a nice linen finish to it. It's a pretty good thickness card. It's kind of a shame you have to sleeve it because it feels really good in your hands.
But we know we're going to play this a lot.
Yeah, you're going to shuffle it a lot, and you're going to want to sleeve them. And there's a ton of cards, too, because just like Terraforming Mars, you're going to be building lots of cards, especially if you play in our house. You know, as far as the components, you know, I'm probably going to give it a 7. I don't think there's anything outstanding, but the custom dice, the card quality being as nice as it is, I mean, the playmat's nice, but it was an add-on. You know, it comes with a standard board. Now, it is two-sided, so you can have different arrangements of the different icons on them, depending on what side you play.
This one?
Yep, it's two-sided as well.
Oh, the mat's two-sided.
Yep, so is the board. So
props. Okay, I agree with you. 7 seems fine. So let's move on to the thing. It's Terraforming Mars, guys.
Yes.
If you've been under a rock and you don't know about Terraforming Mars,
well, you can watch our video.
You can watch all of our videos about Terraforming Mars. You know, and it carries through. It's, you know, it's same theme, I think, as far as all of them. I think it's still, you know, whatever. I don't think it's as strong as maybe like the original, but it's on par as the card game.
Well, I mean, the imagery is, again, very generic, just like the imagery that was in Terraforming Mars. Now, yeah.
But it does got the names.
Yeah.
And that theme-wise is there. And you are, you still have a map that you're playing off of, and you're still building up temperature and things like that.
And there's a lot of references to the same names of cards in Terraforming Mars in this. Too.
Yeah. So there was a couple of moments I was like, what do you mean you can't place that?
Yeah. There's no tile associated with it. There is in the base game.
So we had a few little blip moments there. But, other than that, I think it's on par. So what would you give it a score-wise?
Terraforming Mars is... it's you feel like you're building an engine, but as far as it being a space theme, it's pretty much layered on. The art is very generic as far as the photos and the imagery, but it serves, and this isn't quite as generic as Terraforming Mars is, as far as there's a lot of almost look like stock photos in Terraforming Mars, and it's almost campy in a way. This one, there's more art that's actually drawn on the cards, so there's more. I didn't notice any actual photos. I think everything was art that was drawn. It was probably, some of them might have been photos that were interpreted into actual drawn art. As far as the score goes for theme, I'm probably going to give it a 6.5. I mean, it's nothing outstanding space-wise, but it's Terraforming Mars. You get the feeling.
I'm going to give more than that. I'm going to give it a 7 because, again, you are raising the temperature. You are raising the oxygen by playing plants. I think there's some things that are symbolic that you're doing within the game that makes sense for Terraforming Mars. I do like the fact that you're running corporations and you're dealing with that kind of piece. So I'm going to give it a little bit higher at a 7. Is the art outstanding? It's okay. Is it bad? No. Is it great? No. So I'm at a 7. All right, so now let's move on to the rulebook. Randy, what were your thoughts about the rulebook?
So first of all, it's got that nice texture on it.
All your favorites.
Yeah, it feels good in your hands. It's a 12-page rulebook. It's got a cover that matches. Well, I guess it doesn't quite match. It matches the backs of the cards, not the cover or the back. Mm-hmm. But the rules have the overview is clear. They have pictures showing all the cards and the different pieces. There isn't anything giving you a count of them, but it's not really, you assume it's all there, but there's no count of cards or anything in here, which would have been nice. The setup is very easy to go through and step through. The play of the game and the different actions, it's basically everything. This cheat sheet takes care of everything for you. It took me less than probably 5 minutes or less to teach you this whole game, because most of it is on this cheat card, and you can just reference it. The only tricky part is making sure you understand green, yellow, and red arrows, which green is free actions you can play anytime. Yellow is basically a support action. You can play 1 per turn. And then red isn't your main action if you take an action turn.
Now you can forego to give up your red for yellow. So
if you get them on cards, they still have that same meaning. So you can't trigger a bunch of...
You may have
cheated.
I may have cheated. Not very much, because I didn't get a red card until later. So I think there may have been 1 or 2 cards that had been triggered that maybe shouldn't have. But I feel okay with it.
Yeah.
Because I beat you so handily.
It was not that handily, but okay. As far as, the dice, it's got the same dice hate me aspects to the game, but in general, the game is still, easy to understand, easy to teach. I think the rulebook does a nice job. The font is a good size. It's easy to read. I did see a couple typos with loose instead of lose and things like that, but nothing major. It was easy to understand. So what would you score it? I'll probably go ahead and give it an 8. I think it does a fine job. And it's 12 pages to learn this game is not bad at all. Okay. And that's actually less than that because you've got the solo and some of the basically... I'm going to make it a 7.5 because the only reason why is because it does a shorthand for cards. Instead of giving you definitions for all the iconography, it has cards you might have questions about, which that means they're guessing which cards that you need. And there were a few cards that came up that were not 100% clear.
Well, we made an educated guess. We went with it. So let's talk about gameplay. So you're going to start out the game with 2 corporation cards that you are going to choose from. They have an immediate benefit. They have production as well as possibly a special ability at the top of the card. When I played, I did not get a special ability, but I got a really heavy load of production. I got 4 different dice for my production round. Randy ended up getting a special ability around water. So that was fun. So I'm going to take my starting dice. This is and 5 cards. And then I'm going to roll my dice. Now, these act as resources. So I actually spend the dice when I go to play. So my first action, so I get a yellow and I get a red action every action turn that I take, right? If I'm not producing, I'm going to take an action phase. So I'm going to look at my dice to see if I can actually play a card, and I can. Okay, so turns out, so one of my yellow actions is I get to take a die and roll it, or I get to spend a resource to turn the face of a dice, like if you're really searching for something. I did that way too much. I don't want to talk about that during this game. Or you can spend a die for 2 cards. In this case, I'm going to pick a die and use it. I'm going to pick a yellow. I see my hand has a bunch of yellow in it. I'm going to roll that. All right, so then I'm going to actually spend this. So that was my yellow action, was picking the die and rolling it. And then I'm going to use it, spend the resources, right? I'm actually going to put them here. And then I'm going to take the effects of the card. So I get a gray per city tile. There are no city tiles out. This was a crappy card to play at the very beginning. But I do get a victory point. So, shada. So but that is at the end of the game because it has a red flag around it versus a green.
Yeah, the green ones you get immediately. What's interesting about this game, even though it's a dice game, you don't roll the dice that often, because all you do is when you claim the die, you roll it, and then there's no re-rolling of dice ever in the game.
Correct. All right, so that is my full action. Then Randy would take his turn, and then it would come back to me after he took his turn. Now, here's the thing, though. I have 3 dice, okay? I've decided that I'm going to produce again, okay? So I'm going to discard all dice over 3. I only have 3, so I don't have to discard any, which is why I did it. I'm going to discard as many cards that I want from my hand. And turns out this one sucks. So I don't want this one, so I'm going to discard that one. And then now I'm going to draw my hand up to 5. So I'm going to take 2 more cards.
Oh, you 2. Okay.
All right. So this is 5. Okay. And then I'm going to take my production again, which is just need a green. There we go. And I'm going to roll these dice again. All right, and that is the end of my production phase. Oh, and unflip blue cards. So blue cards that you tap, you'll unflip those. Yeah,
this has green, blue, and red, very similar to what the Terraforming Mars cards are, but they work differently. And this green are production cards. So when you get a green card, it goes into your production pool and adds to the dice that you will get every time you take a production phase.
Mm-hmm. And it's not just dice. There's victory points. Mm-hmm. There's a wild token, so that's these. So you can use this for any dice face and any dice color. So there's a couple of things going on. Also, this one is a little bit different because before, where you'd raise the temperature, you'd only get 1 terraforming rating. Not for this one, you get 2 for every movement, 2 for every
ocean,
2 for every oxygen that gets moved up. And again, oxygen gets increased by placing forests down, and then your city tiles. Now, the one thing that is a little bit different is the victory points that you get when placing city and plant tiles. So, when you place the city, you get 2 victory points for the city and a victory point for every touching forest at the time of play, not in the game. That's weird. But the same is also true for the forest. You get 2 victory points for placing a forest.
Raising the oxygen, though, assuming there's oxygen left to raise.
Correct. But you also get a victory point for every city that it touches at the time that it's placed. So that's a little bit different. So I think that was pretty...
The other thing
kept you on your toes.
That's different is if you max out one of the stats, like oxygen or heat, if you can still raise it. You just are only going to get 1 victory point each time you do. You won't get 2. Same for oceans. If you run out of oceans, you can still drop an ocean. You just won't play a tile, and you'll go up 1 victory point.
Yeah, so you can still do the action, which is kind of nice because you basically don't get pigeonholed And, and I can see that can be frustrating. So you don't have that issue with this game. It's not as effective, right? Because you only get you get half the victory points out of it, but it's still worth something. Overall, I think I liked it better than the Terraforming card game, but definitely not as much as Terraforming Mars.
It's as far as dice games go, it's actually a really good one. As far as Terraforming Mars games go, it's not as good as Terraforming Mars. I don't think anything will ever beat that one. But I do agree I like it better than the card game. We haven't played the expansions with the card game, to be fair, though. That might make the card game better. Sure. I don't think it's a huge difference, in my opinion, of the two. No. And one other thing we didn't point out is the end condition of the game. Instead of having to max out all 3, you only max out 2 of the stats. So if you get oxygen and heat maxed out, or oxygen and water, or the ocean tiles played, then the game will trigger the game end, and each player, including the player that triggered it, will get 1 more turn.
Yeah. Now, here's something. Whenever I play the Terraforming Mars card game, I just want to play Terraforming Mars afterwards.
Yeah.
I did not get that feeling with this one.
Well, to be fair, we played Terraforming Mars yesterday.
I know! Because it's a good game.
I was just saying, that might have had some impact on that feeling.
No, I don't know, because it's very different, because you're checking dice, and it's not as in-depth. And I think this is, a lot more effective on time. Like, I think if we're crunched on time, this is the one I would pull out, because it gives a little bit of different feel. But again, it's not that much, there's not... if you like checking dice, this is fun.
Yeah. It satisfies that checking dice feeling. I know, for example, Adam, he loves games that check dice. I bet he'll like this game a lot.
Yeah, checking dice is fun.
So, yeah, I think that, it's going to fit your niche if you enjoy Terraforming Mars. But you also like dice games, because this one is going to have that, the combination of those is going to feel good to you. Also, if you're in a crunch and you don't have a time for a 2 to 4 hour game, 4 hours for us, 2 hours for most people, this one you can play easily in 45 minutes to an hour and enjoy yourself.
Yeah. For the record, it took us 5 hours yesterday.
And there was a lot of interruptions, and your brother.
True. So overall, I really enjoyed it. I'm probably going to give this, the thing is, it worked really well. I don't think there was any issues. It was not buggy in any way. It played really well. It synced very well. I think I'll give it an 8. I think it was a good, solid game, and I didn't have any issues with it.
I'm probably going to give it an 8.5, just because there aren't too many heavier dice games. Most dice games are really light, or else they're dice placement games where it's more of a, there's more strategy to it. This one is a traditional Yahtzee-style dice rolling game, except for you only roll them once. And other than that, it has the feel of Terraforming Mars, and it captures it, I think, better than the card game, because the card game incorporates Race for the Galaxy.
Yeah. I want to point out one little thing. They say the common things are easy to get.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's the case.
I kept rolling the medium level.
I kept rolling rare, and I'm like, I don't need all these rares, but I hated, getting rid, like changing them, and it's like, but I'm like, I need to get crap done. So that was kind of like, I'm like, why am I spending O2 to get an electricity? I think the dice have a mind of their own. But that's why you play dice games. Well, guys, thanks so much for joining us. We hope that you enjoyed our review of the game, and we hope to catch you guys later. Bye.